Get the boat gassed up, saunter down to the dock. Put the Yeti in the back and she's ready to rock. It's a May River thing. It's a May River thing. It's a May River thing. Got the whole family down here. It's a May River thing. If you ain't got a boat, you can hitch a ride. I'm sure one of your buddies has a sensitive side. Pay for some gas, donate some brews. Better than sitting home singing the blues. You can probably squeeze in next to the ghost of Rufus Weaver. Of course there's room for y'all's golden retriever. It's a May River thing. It's a May River thing. It's a May River thing. We got the whole family down here. It's a May River thing. Coming round the corner, see the sandbar is packed. Dad's sporting beer bellies, moms are all jacked. Kids running around, not a phone in sight. Probably too tired for the iPad tonight. Heard your boy fell out the boat on the way back home. Couldn't leave the corn liquor alone. It's a May River thing. It's a May River thing. It's a May River thing. Got the whole family down here. It's a May River thing. 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 It's a May River thing.
Hey, it is Tim Wood. Wow, I'm very excited to be back with you to relaunch the Lowcountry Chronicle podcast. Listen, I've shown you guys some teasers, some interviews that we have done that we will rebroadcast in the podcast form here. We've got a lot more interviews in the chamber, so to speak. We've done a bunch already, bunch more to do. Do want to say a huge shout out to Beaufort Drug Company. They are the official presenting sponsor of Lowcountry Chronicle. Huge shout out to Jacob Dotson and the Dotson family. Cannot say enough good things. I love to partner with people that I really, where it starts out with me loving the product, and Buford Drug Company is that. Now the name might put you off. It's like, are they in downtown Buford? No, they're right outside of Sun City, 16 William Pope Drive in Bluffton. Um, Family owned and operated. Uh, we transferred our prescriptions over there away from the chains. We get very personal service over there. They do compounding. Um, they're very responsive to any needs, any special medications, they take all major insurances. Beyond the pharmacy, folks, the nostalgia with Drug Company, the soda fountain, and just thinking of all the times where I would go to Woolworth or JJ Newberry's in Laconia, New Hampshire, for instance, and saddle up to the soda fountain, and get a ice cream or a sundae or a shake. These guys got Hershey's ice cream. They got the shakes. They got the sundaes, the banana splits, the whole shebang. Phenomenal gift shop too, full of low country decor. So please check out Buford Drug Company. 707-7077 is the phone number. BufordDrug.com is the website. You can fill your prescriptions. You can transfer your prescriptions right on there. Make sure you tell them that Lowcountry Chronicle sent you. That will go a long way in terms of them seeing the value of partnering with Lowcountry Chronicle. So thank you there. All right, so who am I? I'm Tim Wood. I think the thing came up on the screen. I'll put it up again. Tim Wood, there it is, right there. Right there. Okay. You see me on What's Happening in Bluffton. You may have seen we just started the Indulgent Islander podcast. I do a lot of podcasts. Haven't done as much local. I've done a lot of national stuff, a lot of producing behind the scenes for some national stuff. We're going to be doing a lot more local podcasts now. I got a little sidetracked. I've done a lot of writing in the past. I hate to say I'm in the media. It's a 4-letter word, a dirty word nowadays. And I have very strong opinions of it myself in terms of what media has become. Listen, I just care about the community. I care about Bluffton. I care about the Low Country. Our mission with Lowcountry Chronicle, with all the things we do, what's happening in Bluffton, is to get the good news out there. Each one of these shows will begin with just kind of a news recap, just kind of going over anything that we see in the news, anything that's going on. I'll talk about personal interests. I love television. We'll talk about some TV recommendations. But this is interactive. I want to hear from you in terms of the people that you want to hear talked about. The idea is to do kind of a live, open, and just conversation between me and you. But then we will get into a conversation with a newsmaker. Some of them will be shorter, some of them will be longer. The original plan for our debut was to pull out a interview that I have been holding on to for the right time to run. And, I kind of got away from media for a little bit. I wanted to walk the walk. I tell everybody, you got to get involved. You want to make a difference. You have opinions about local government, get involved. And I wanted to walk the walk. I ran for office. I lost. It was a good showing, but I ended up losing. I had some medical issues that I've documented a little bit in terms of my gastric sleeve surgery. for those who care on that front. Um, things are going well on that front. I started out about 320, 318. I'm down into the 240s now, and that's since October 1st. So that's going really well. There's plateaus, and I think now I've got to start getting into firming up some and getting into beyond just walking, some more exercise. More to come on that. Because I want to share some of that with you and bring on some folks to talk about best fitness tips. And so, I've described this as like a Low Country Today show. It may be more like the Daily Show. It may just be that opening and then an interview with somebody. We're gonna play it by ear. I want to interview interesting people. I want to bring interesting people on. I want to highlight local businesses. I want to highlight local newsmakers. From age 5 to 99. Or 105, whatever. This is in the early days in terms of what we're looking to do with it. As I said, the initial plan was to unveil an interview that I've done with Anna-Laura Harrell, one of my low country idols. And you will see that interview tomorrow on episode number 2. But the pressing information right now is and what people are most concerned about right now is this weather that is really coming on strong. Now, as we speak at 4:21 on Tuesday, January 21st, the weather here in the Low Country in Bluffton is 34 degrees with light rain. I turned on the Weather Channel. It is already blizzard conditions in New Orleans. New Orleans, people. It is blizzard conditions in New Orleans. Okay, so if there was any thought that this is not hitting us, it is. Now, I have run on what's happening in Bluffton. I did an interview earlier in the day with WSAV chief meteorologist. We will run that interview as part of this first episode. That interview was done at 10 o'clock this morning. At that point, the forecast was maybe 3 inches on the high end. Okay, you have models now that are saying up to 10 inches. There's a model out of Colombia that has CBS News out of Colombia that has us at a potential of 8.4, 10.9 inches. Let me pull that up on the screen. Yeah, here we go. 10.9 inches in Hilton Head. Let me pull that back up. There you go. They're saying 10.9 is the forecast out of CBS News in Colombia. 10.9 in Hilton Head. Okay, that is a big jump. Okay, now let's temper that and say that we don't know what we're getting at this point. The light rain has begun. There's so many cancellations. Thankfully, people are heeding the warnings from the town, from the local government, from the police department. People are heeding the warnings, and it's not being alarmist, folks. Like, you'll hear it from Scott Roberts from WSAV. Snowstorms are a different animal than rainstorms. And again, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm just kind of pointing back to what I've been told many times over by meteorologists, including Scott today. Hurricanes, tornadoes, rainstorms, they move a lot faster tracking the path becomes difficult. They are much more impacted by wind, by the oceans. Storms can get pulled out to the ocean. I'm speaking over my head a little bit. I understand that. But what I'm trying to say to you is that when it comes to snow, snowstorms are, I've heard it described, and you'll hear Scott say, like a sloth. A week out, it's still too soon. Okay. When you get 36, 48, 36 hours in, that path is kind of locked in. Then it just becomes an issue of how intense is the storm going to be. Okay. Well, we're seeing it already in New Orleans, on the Weather Channel. It's blizzard conditions in New Orleans. Okay. And it's going right up towards Atlanta. It's coming right up towards us. It's coming right up the coast. It's not going out to sea anytime soon. So this idea that it was just going to be a wintry mix. Now we were talking 3 inches max this morning. Now the town of Bluffton has put out has put out the National Weather Service forecast that is calling for 4 to 6 inches in our area, and that might be on the low side. Okay, you have some estimates, again, as we showed before, up to 11 inches. The general idea behind this, folks, is that this is going to stick around. And so the idea that this was just going to be a wintry mix that turns into rain, that's not going to be the case so much. Okay, so be careful. Get inside. Stay inside during this storm. Most of your local businesses have closed early. We have a ton of those notices up on what's happening in Bluffton, but please heed the warnings. This is not a drill, so to speak, okay? This storm is happening, and I don't like to be that alarmist, okay? But it's definitely coming at us. It's a question of how strong it's going to be, how long it's going to last. That's the other part of this, okay? The idea was that this was going to melt pretty quickly, that it was going to get up into the 40s tomorrow. Well, right now, the forecast has changed to a high of 36 tomorrow is currently the high that I'm seeing. Some places have it as high as 40. Listen, watch WSAV, watch your local channels tonight to get the most up-to-date information. This will be part of the first episode of the podcast, but I may come on later tonight live again just to update and have an ongoing discussion about how things are going. If there's things that you want to hear about when it comes to the storm, hit me up in the comments. I know this is a weird time of day. I'm not expecting to have a whole lot of live viewers for this, but we decided to stream it live just in case. There's things that you can do to stay warm and to be ready for the situation. Okay. One of those, and again, I'll go back to a graphic that the town of Bluffton put up from Beaufort and Jasper Water Authority, and it's a pretty good graphic in terms of helpful tips on preparing your pipes for winter, for harsh winter storms. You want to disconnect and drain the outdoor hoses. You want to shut off the water at the master valve. You want to insulate your faucets or your pipes in unheated areas. Leave a pencil-thin stream of water flowing from your faucets so that there's not any freezing going on in the pipes. Leave your cabinet doors open. Now, this is one that I won't lie, folks. Like, I've joked about this before. I've told my wife that she's cuckoo for cocoa puffs about this. When it comes to opening those doors up, that's something that's come from my father-in-law from long ago. You want to take these steps. Um, you want to try to insulate the you want to disconnect and drain the outdoor hoses, but you also want to insulate them a little bit so that you can prevent all of that sort of freezing up of the pipes. Now, again, how long are we going to have these conditions? You know, in terms of this cold streak, uh, we're seeing temperatures are going to go back up into the 60s. Um, Mid 50s by the end of the weekend, uh 60s by next Wednesday. So it looks like we're going to be out of this extreme cold uh next week. But in the meantime, our apartments down here were not built for this extreme lasting weather effect. So just take the steps. Take the steps to be prepared. You're going to be thankful about that in the long run, okay? Um, what else can I tell you in terms of local news here? Um, there are some uh, there are some shelters that are going to be available. Um, and I believe, let's see here, one is at Sea Island Presbyterian Church in Beaufort. One is at Christ Lutheran Church, 829 William Hilton Parkway on Hilton Head Island. I'll put that graphic up again so you can see. Again, thanks to the town of Bluffton for putting that together. But there is the information in terms of the warming stations and the shelters. And again, if you got somebody who needs transportation to one of these sites, call Bluffton Police Department non-emergency dispatch at 843-524-2777. Okay. So again, great information from the town there that we wanted to pass on to you. Again, this first episode was going to be a little bit more lighthearted. We were going to talk some TV and listen. A lot of us may be home tomorrow. You need some TV recommendations. I've put some up on my personal page. I'm a big fan of On Call, which is this new show from the Wolf family. It's actually Dick Wolf's son, Elliot, that is written most of the episodes. Eric LaSalle of ER fame directs a bunch of the episodes. He's also one of the main characters in the show. It centers around, and it's more like a half-hour show, folks, which is kind of interesting. It centers around a more veteran cop and one of her trainees, and them rolling and patrolling in Long Beach, California, and it's fascinating. It's really well done, and I believe it's like 8 episodes. They go real quick. It's very bingey. It's very well done. So On Call would be one of my recommendations. Another one that's kind of out there that that I mentioned on my Facebook page is Norman's Rare Guitars, the Norman's Rare Guitar documentary on Netflix. Huge fan of that. I would definitely recommend. That's a fun watch in terms of just you want to talk about passion for passion. This guy, Norman, he's got the passion for guitars, and it's fascinating how it became kind of a center place of all of the greatest guitar players in the music industry, as well as just young kids kind of coming up, and this started back in like the 70s, and now they've taken to social media. It's become a whole thing in terms of being able to play on their social media channels. It's really well done. Great documentary. Huge recommendation there. I have not watched it yet. I've heard The Pit is very well done, a medical drama starring Noah Wiley. Not an ER reboot. It's a whole different thing. It's like ER meets 24. So it's like each hour is an episode in an emergency room. I've heard a lot of really high recommendations on that. Severance has begun. The second season of Severance has begun on Apple TV. If you have not seen that, and you don't have Apple TV, season 1 is available on the Roku channel. Highly recommend Severance. What else can I tell you in terms of? Let me think here. Conclave is a going to be Oscar nominated, I believe. Has already been nominated for a bunch of awards, heading up to the Oscars, including Golden Globes. That is streaming on Peacock. Highly recommend that. So there's a few. And listen, if you've got any, hit me up. We'll put some more recommendations out there. But tomorrow is going to be a day to, for the most part, stay inside and ride this storm out. And listen, it's going to be some fun getting out there and making some snow angels when if we really do get this snow as much as folks are talking. The signs are there, folks. That's all I can tell you. Okay, the signs are there in terms of this being a real legit snowstorm, the first one we've had since 2018. This has the makings of a historic snowfall. So heed the warnings. Don't kind of play whatever. Everybody says that. It's I would not play that game with this storm. That's all I'm gonna say, is I would not play that game with this storm. It has all of the makings of a doozy. Okay. So I'm kind of scrolling through my Facebook feed, and I noticed this from Dr. Corley, which I will share with you. Chili, it's what's for dinner. That looks delicious. I don't normally put the white beans in my chili. I'm more right down the middle with the red kidney beans. That looks delicious, Dr. Corley. Well done. And by the way, we are efforting to have the aforementioned Dr. Corley on to talk about her amazing book, The Magic of Schools. The Magic in Our Schools, I believe it's called. We will have that in a upcoming episode. So hope you'll listen for that. I do want to share with you, the pod is already available in multiple. Let me see here. It's already available all over the place. And so, if you are more of a podcast listener, you can listen and subscribe. We hope you'll listen and subscribe wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Podbean, and of course, Apple Podcasts. Just look for Lowcountry Chronicle, and you will see us there, including this first episode. So that's where you can find the audio version of the show. You're seeing the video version of the show right here on Facebook right now. Also, I would definitely want to send a shout out before we get to the Scott Roberts interview. I want to send a shout out to Kendall. Again, Kendall Brody It's Kendall's 11th birthday. And if you followed what's happening in Bluffton, if you followed Kendall's journey, we've had a rash of kids here in Bluffton and the Lowcountry that have been facing some pretty rough cancer diagnosis. And I mean, when we say that Kendall got hit hard, um, and if you followed her journey at all on Beav Brody's page, um, you'll see just the grace that she's shown throughout, the gratefulness that the family has shown towards your love and your prayers, and it's working, folks. Kendall has been smiling throughout this whole thing. That is the one constant, no matter what she's gone through, surgery after surgery. She has been smiling throughout, and to see this bright smile and thumbs up for her 11th birthday, that's awesome. So congratulations. Happy birthday, Kendall. I hope that you get some snow to make some snow angels in for your birthday. Um, that would be awesome. So huge. Um, uh, I don't know. I'm not good at this. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not Taylor Swift. But huge love and prayers and congratulations, and I hope you have a blast. Hope this day has been awesome for you, Kendall. Okay. Um, what else did I want to get to here? Um, so yeah, again, I will share this with you if you were not watching initially. This is from Colombia. Okay, so let's heed that with a grain of salt, so to speak. But um, we've gone from frozen mix to maybe 2 inches being the high point of this, to, as you can see, 10.9 inches is the potential dump that we're gonna get. Now, I think what folks need to understand is that the folks who have just moved here from parts north or west, we don't have the snow equipment to deal with this. Okay, so you're not gonna see sanded roads. You're not gonna see plows out. Now there may be some folks that are able to do some plowing, but for the most part, our municipalities were not set up for this. Okay, this is not a snow hotbed, so to speak. Okay, so um, just be aware of that. If you're thinking, well, it snowed and the roads are going to be okay right away, it's not going to be the case. It's not going to be the case tonight. You're still going to have a lot of leftover effects and storm that's coming. I did also want to share just a quick shout out. First of all, huge shout out to the Ohio State contingent down here. You won the game. I mean, that's really all that can be said, right? You guys won the game. You kicked some butt. It wasn't really even that much. It was tight early, but it was done pretty quick. So congratulations to our whole Ohio State contingent down here celebrating today. Big win. But I also want to send a huge shout out to um, family on Hilton Head that has been uh, intimately involved with Notre Dame and this whole process here. Um, I mean, listen, Jalen Sneed became a huge part of um, huge part of the Notre Dame defense, and really earned some quality minutes. Was a big part of the game last night. Shanta Ellison, she shared some video, as you can see, and from the site, and uh, the family. That's her son. That's their family, and so congratulations. Even in the loss, that is a big deal for Hilton Head to get another player out there of national acclaim. We talked about it a little bit already in terms of we've talked about a little bit already in terms of Carnell Warren from Bluffton really coming on and being a huge threat on the football field, getting a lot of offers. He's committed to Virginia Tech, so we have that here in Bluffton. So huge shout out to Jalen, the Ellison family. Even in the loss, man, you represented hardcore, and that was amazing to see. Amazing. So huge shout out to y'all. This storm is Winter Storm Enzo. Okay. Now listen, again, we're going to bring on Scott Roberts to talk. And this was taped at 10 a.m. this morning. Okay. And we really cannot thank Scott enough for making the time to come on. Hugely appreciative for making the time on what was sure to be a very busy day. And it's becoming even more busy. Scott is being a little bit more conservative in terms of his forecasts, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's saying 4+ inches. Again, the conversation this morning was wintry mix, maybe 3 inches being the max. But now we are talking 4+, where some forecasters are going as high as 10 to 11 inches. So just be prepared. And with that, I am going to put on our main interview for our first episode of Lowcountry Chronicle of the show. He is the chief meteorologist with WSAV, and hugely thankful for him joining us. This is the interview we taped this morning. We're at 4:47 p.m. right now. We taped this at 10 a.m. this morning with Scott Roberts. Here is that interview. It's Tim Wood with Lowcountry Chronicle. We are pleased to be joined by the one and only Scott Roberts, WSAV chief meteorologist. Scott, really appreciate you joining us on this freakishly winter wonderland Tuesday. What are you seeing right now in terms of how this storm is going to affect the Low Country?
There's no doubt about it. It's a sure bet. It is going to be a high impact event for the Low Country, something that we haven't seen, since before my time here working at WSAV. The last time there was anything meaningful as far as winter weather was back in 2018, where in Savannah we got over an inch of snow. Areas to the north got a little bit more. So that just shows the rarity of this type of event here in the southeast and especially in the Low Country.
This has gone from, I mean, every day has been, and I know that's normal for weather in general. That's the business you got into, but this has gone from nothing to maybe a dusting to 1 inch. Now I'm seeing as much as 3 to 5 inches. Is that accurate as of right now?
Something like 3 to 5 inches, that certainly would be on the high end of what we can see. But with the storm, it's something that we've been watching for the potential to develop for now over a week. The signals have been going in the direction of seeing something out of it. And usually in that type of situation, it's usually further inland, maybe a dusting, maybe just a few snowflakes. But the computer guidance was all over the place, really unreliable over a week out. But one thing that was consistent is that some of the models were flip flopping between it being a significant event versus a, um, a, a a nothing event. So even up until like mid last week, we were looking at the possibility of either this being something or nothing. But over the weekend, generally the guidance started to get an agreement that yeah, we were going to start to see something that could be significantly impactful. That's part of the reason why with WSAV we're kind of a little cautious at least early on without not wanting to be overly alarmist with this, but all the signals were coming together over the past few days, and now we finally see the system forming on the map. Snowfall already occurring across the northern Gulf Coast and into Texas, even Louisiana. So now we have a good idea of what this system is going to do, the type of dynamics, the how it will how it will behave in the mid levels of the atmosphere, and we're looking at a pretty sure bet that this is going to be a majorly impactful event for the first time ever. I believe blizzard warnings have been issued for the Louisiana coast. So this it just shows how things are really coming together for this system. So I think 1 to 2 inches, 3 inches for some spots is a pretty likely outcome from this.
I mean, we're always on alert in terms of hurricane season here, and you guys at WSAV have been at the forefront of keeping us informed with hurricanes, with bad weather. We don't see, like you said, we don't see this very often. I have been here for 20 years, but we moved away briefly. I was not here for 2018. The last one of significance I really remember was like 2005, 2006. So how do you tell folks to prepare to take this seriously, given the freakish nature of this
Mhm.
happening down here?
Yeah, well, one of the main things is, over the past, 15, 20 years, we've been getting a lot of people in this part of the country moving from areas up north where you get winter weather like this every week, or if not more often than that, in a forecast period. So all winter long. And, some people are sometimes like, oh, well, I'm used to driving and it's no big deal. Well, it's a big deal here because we don't have the same infrastructure like you have in places like New York, New England, in the Midwest, where you have salt trucks, you have snow plows, things to prepare the roads. Now, Georgia DOT, I know I'm not sure about the South Carolina side of things, like along I-95, but I know Georgia, they were out with salt brine trucks to help to treat the roadways. But if you're used to it up north, it's not the same situation down here. Once the snow's on the roads or the ice and we stay below freezing, it's going to be there for a while. And it's really that ice that's the big issue. And without the salt helping to melt that away or the plows to help clear it away, it's a totally different situation. So my advice to prepare for this is prepare to just stay home for a couple of days. I know a lot of schools, most of the schools are already canceled. So that's my best advice. Be prepared for that. To stay home, have some food, have a good time at home with family. If you don't need to go anywhere, unless it's an emergency, just stay home.
In terms of what is the time frame on this? In terms of when it could hit us, when it could impact us the most, when
Mhm.
right now it's looking like it will be out of here, or at least the weather itself will be out of here. The impact of it won't, but.
Yeah, the impact is going to stick around for at least an extra day. But as far as when we will begin to see some activity on the radar, will be later on this afternoon. Further west you are, say on our Georgia side of the viewing area, it's certainly early on this afternoon. For the low country, it's going to be more toward the evening. But it will take some time for some of the precipitation to make its way to the ground because we have very dry air in place. A lot of it will be evaporating early on. So we'll have to just wait to see how long it takes for the atmosphere to stay or to get humid enough, moist enough for that precipitation to make it all the way to the ground. So it's that part of the forecast is a little tricky, but we're looking at the greatest impact mainly for the low country, say we'll say in the neighborhood of 6 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow with some perhaps some lingering snow showers or sleet showers through the mid-morning hours. So that's going to be it for the window for the precipitation. But then the issue remains then tomorrow, how warm does it get? You need temperatures above 32 to really start to see, well, you need to be above 32 for the snow and ice to start to melt away, but how warm will it get? Originally we were looking at the possibility of temperatures maybe making it into the 40s after all this clears out, but it looks like temperatures might stay a little bit colder, perhaps just the 30s. So in shaded areas, if we keep the sky mainly overcast, some of this is going to stick around for a little while. And then Wednesday night and into Thursday morning, temperatures will be down into the 20s for us once again. So we're going to be looking at the issue of the anything that melts refreezing, especially on the bridges and overpasses. Those are going to be skating rinks. It's going to not be safe at all.
Scott, how do you as meteorologists prepare for this? Like, in terms, you have a lot of different models that come into play. How do
Hmm.
you start to, when do you start to actually uh, believe in the models, start to put that out to the public? I mean, you're in a weird business where
Yeah,
you can be alarmist. You want to try to get out in front of you want to be better safe than sorry, but at the
of
same time
course.
you don't want to be you don't want to be I don't know, crying wolf or whatever. You don't want to be
Exactly.
getting that out there too early. Like, how do you guys mix that?
Well, it definitely is a fine line. I mean, it is a business, so of course you do want to responsibly get in front of things as soon as possible. But really for us on my team, it's when we start to see consistency. Models a week out, no matter what, they are wrong with any weather situation. But you start looking for the consistency, and you have to watch the flip flops. How extreme are the flip flops in the models? So you start looking for that, and then you start looking for trends in that. So as all those ingredients start coming together, you start to see less of the flip flopping. You start to see agreement between the different models, and also you have to look at how it's handling the right now with things. So for the initialization of the model, as we look at, so that's sort of how we start to decide which outcome would start to become a little bit more likely. And so like last week, the two global models, main ones that we use are the GFS, which is run by the National Center for Environmental Prediction here in the U.S., and then the Euro, which is the equivalent of NOAA in Europe, that runs a pretty reliable computer model as far as it being less prone to a major flip flops. But they were in total disagreement. The European model was showing snow and ice, while the GFS was showing dry. Then they would flip flop and go back and forth that way. But then over time they just start to get a little bit more consistent. The GFS was a little bit more consistent at times than the European, and now over the weekend they became pretty well on the same outcome. But now it's was just been a matter of fine tuning things. Now that the actual storm has formed, then that helps us to really see, okay, well, which one had this, say, the center of low pressure in the better location. So then that gives us an idea of what the future would hold. Which one is handling the future better if it's handling the near term more reliably. So it's a complicated process. There's science, but then there's also just some sheer tuition with it.
The science, and that's what I marvel at with you guys is how you take the science and you make it palpable for the viewer in terms of understanding and understanding how it's going to impact and we see these storms and I run a Facebook group, What's Happening in Bluffton, and anytime this sort of stuff comes up, you have the keyboard warriors who are like, it always
Hmm.
happens. At this stage of the storm, I mean, when we see this with whatever precipitation it is, hurricane, rain, whatever it might be, at this stage of the storm, is there any version or any chance that it swerves out and just misses us, or is it pretty much locked in coming at us?
Yeah, I don't think it. I mean, a lot would have to happen for us to not get anything at this point, no matter what, because not only is it an area of low pressure, but there's a leading front that's going to be attached with it that's going to help to draw a lot of that moisture into our area. That's there. That's going to be moving through. At this point, it's a matter of fine tuning which areas get more of the sleet, more of the freezing rain, more of the snow. And that will be the determining factor of how much of any of those modes of precipitation that any one point receives. If you receive more of the freezing rain and sleet, you're going to get less snow. If you see less of that, you'll get more snow. So that's why now we're fine tuning things and we're looking at that some spots might get over 3 inches of snow, simply because it looks like the freezing rain risk is going to be a little bit lower for the region, especially further down along the the Georgia coast, South Carolina at this point. It looks like it's going to be snow and sleet further down the Georgia coast toward places like Darien and Brunswick. That's where we'd have that greater risk of significant icing. So they'll receive less snow. Even Savannah, that risk for freezing rain, it's there, but not quite as great as it was just looking over the weekend. So perhaps a little bit more snow within the range of 1 inch to 2 inches for even Savannah. So the low country could be looking at that 2 inches plus.
Take us a little bit inside baseball in terms of what we're looking at from you guys today. How does is it when we start seeing the snowfall that you guys come on and stay on, or what are we looking at in terms of coverage from you guys today?
Yeah, as far as what we're going to be looking for coverage, our afternoon newscasts, everything as far as what we're expecting, because we don't have the world history unfolding in front of us today. Everything will be on as scheduled.
Right.
As far as for the actual coverage, we do have reporters that are going to be stationed all across the region. We'll have a couple of reporters in the Low Country. Someone is going to be located in Beaufort. Andrew Davis will be covering Hilton Head tomorrow as we start to really see the impacts from it in the aftermath. We have people located in Statesboro, further down the coast, and down into McIntosh County, Georgia, and of course in Savannah, Richmond Hill. So we'll have a pretty good perspective on what we're seeing around the area. As far as the actual weather coverage, it's going to be very weather heavy. If you like watching the weather, it's the day to watch it because we'll have a lot of that. As far as like anything like wall to wall coverage, like we do with like hurricanes or severe weather with severe thunderstorms and tornadoes, it's not that type of thing. Simply because it's such a slow type of thing evolving, we will be providing hourly updates starting this evening and going overnight and into tomorrow morning on our main channel. So if you want to get an update, we will have those updates. We'll be providing as much live coverage as possible. But otherwise, a situation like this is kind of like be doing commentary on a sloth climbing along a tree branch. It's very, really slow motion. So there's, as far as like to do long term actual weather coverage, pure weather coverage, there. Not a whole lot to talk about, doing play by play.
Yeah, you're
It's
not
like you
talking
do with
about
a
tornado
hurricane or a
strikes or
tornado.
yeah.
Right, yeah. So, but we're gonna have the coverage. We have the best. We'll have the best coverage. Want to give a shout out to my team, Alyssa Carsley, Brian Michigan, and Hannah Evans. All have experience dealing with winter weather, especially Brian and Hannah, who are along with myself, Penn State grads, but they more recently have experience doing some coverage. Hannah worked in upstate New York, so she's kind of an expert in dealing with some of this stuff. Brian is out of school just 2 years from Penn State, so he's dealt with a lot of snow and ice. I lived up there for a number of years for school too. So we all have a Pennsylvania connection. So we're all pretty well experienced in dealing with this type of weather.
Sorry about the Nittany Lions in the college football playoff.
Well, I mean, I would be a bad fan to say, what I really think, but but
That's a whole
congratulations
different
to Ohio.
conversation, right?
Yeah.
um, I'm from Maine myself, so we moved down. I moved down here initially. I was when I first moved down here. I was right across the street from you at the Sand Gnats at Graceland Stadium.
Oh,
So
okay.
I moved down to be the GM of the Sand Gnats, and yeah, but we stayed down here to avoid this stuff. But
Hmm.
what is the one before I let you go? What is the biggest and thank you for getting out the team. That was going to be my next question, just in terms of shouting out to the team. In terms of your best tips for people on handling this, other
Hmm.
than staying inside, if they have to go outside, or just in general in terms of handling this level of cold, this level of precipitation, what's your best tips?
The best tip is if you have to be out, stay dry. Stay dry as best as you can. Dress in layers. Have, say, like a rain jacket on the outside, because it's that moisture that will really help to cool you off more quickly than you would otherwise. So that's advice for if you're going to be out. If you're going to be out, say, shoveling any kind of snow. If you're just going to be clearing off the driveway and stuff, have nice, water resistant shoes, and really just try to stay dry, because as much as the snow and ice is going to be a story, the cold is going to be a huge issue, and with wind chills down into the teens and perhaps even single digits in isolated spots, that's going to be a huge factor for this system. So even if the snow's not excuse me, not a huge issue, the cold, that's going to be an issue. So stay dry, stay warm, stay
Any
inside if you can.
Absolutely. Any I really appreciate you coming on a busy day ahead of for you.
Mhm.
Anything else that you want to get out there in terms of the storm, in terms of the coverage, anything we missed?
You know what? Just, since it's so rare, if you can, take a moment to enjoy it. Because, we might go 5 years without seeing something like this.
Absolutely. At 5'10", I mean, at this point,
Yeah,
we're
or more.
it's
Yep.
it's crazy. Well, listen, Scott, I really appreciate you joining us. Shout out to my buddy Andrew Davis for connecting us.
Of course.
Andrew's been a friend for years and beat me in fantasy football this year. So,
Of
um,
course. He's big on that.
he is indeed. Scott Roberts, WSAV chief meteorologist. Our family is personally a huge fan, but
Well,
you
thank
were the
you.
first one I wanted to reach out to, and I really appreciate you coming on and joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Anytime we have big events, if we can work it out, I'm here.
Awesome. Thanks again, Scott.
Of course. Stay warm.
So there's Scott Roberts, WSAV chief meteorologist. Again, the storm is coming, folks. He mentioned the blizzard warning in New Orleans. Here is what is happening in New Orleans. I mean, you're talking about historic snow in New Orleans. That is coming our way. It's up towards Atlanta now, and it's expected to come our Cafe du Monde. Look at that snow at Cafe du Monde. Snow on Bourbon Street. And Lord knows they've already been through enough in terms of tragedy that happened there at the Sugar Bowl game, before the Sugar Bowl game. So, hopefully New Orleans gets through this snow with no major issues. But I wanted to show you one more thing.
We can do this in NOLA.
2 inches of snow on Bourbon Street. He's got the cross
Hey, none
country
guesser.
skis out.
Who needs Vail Resorts? We can do this in NOLA.
All
yes,
right,
sir.
so
Who needs Vail Resorts? We can do this in NOLA.
so be careful out there. Keep an eye out. Town of Bluffton government, Town of Hilton Head government. They'll give you the updates. Bluffton Police Department on Facebook. Watch your local weather forecasts on SAV, WJCL, WTOC. They've all got you covered. Uh, Again, as Scott said, this may not be like cover to cover coverage because not a lot it changes in terms of snow other than showing people playing in the snow. Um, but they'll have updates on the hour for sure. And I would imagine that the local broadcast might go a little longer tonight. I have no inside information there, but uh, one thing I do know is Andrew Davis is out there, Riley Miller's out there, and all of our low country media folks are out there covering this storm. Me personally, I'm gonna be inside until it starts snowing pretty good, and then I'm gonna be outside making some snow angels. And like Scott said, enjoy it. Honestly, the first couple hours of a storm are the best before things start to get messy. Don't get in the car, but enjoy it on your street in your backyard. Make some snow angels. Have some fun with it. Stay warm. Uh, as I said, we may be back on live later if there's extreme weather to talk about and to get you information on resources. But for now, first episode of the new Lowcountry Chronicle podcast. Again, you can see the show on you can listen to the show on all the major podcast platforms: Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio Podcast, Podbean, Apple Podcasts. You'll see, you'll hear the show all over the place wherever you find your favorite podcast. Tim Wood, for now, stay safe, stay warm, and we will talk to you on the next episode of Lowcountry Chronicle. Have a good one, everybody.